Welcome back to our mindful moment for the month of June. Our theme for June is the idea of the gift of forgiveness. And I also like the term fostering forgiveness. It feels like we're more able to have some control over that forgiveness, which I think is important as we think about this idea. So as we begin, find yourself in a comfortable seated position, maybe your favorite chair, or maybe you actually want to lay down. Maybe you're laying down on the couch or on a yoga mat, whatever position or place you find yourself in, just be sure you're comfy and can relax there. You may want to close your eyes, or perhaps you just want to soften your gaze, and you can do that by maybe just lowering your lids a little bit and finding a spot to stare at and kind of zone out as you're doing so. And together, let's take 3 deep breaths. And as we breathe, let's inhale for the count of 5. We'll hold for 3, and we'll exhale for the count of 5. So don't shortchange yourself on the inhale or the exhale. I think sometimes we forget to exhale all the older air out. So let's think about that today. So we're inhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll hold for 3 and 2 and 1. And we'll exhale for 5 and 4, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And let's do that again. So we'll inhale for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And we'll hold for 3 and 2 and 1. And now let's exhale for 5 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now let's just take a nice deep breath in on your own time. And exhale. With these calming, relaxing breaths, let's begin to think a little bit about fostering forgiveness, or this gift of forgiveness. And as I was doing some reading in preparation for today's mindfulness moment, I came across a parable that I thought spoke very well to this whole notion of forgiveness. And it was followed by a beautiful mindful experience that I'm going to and talk it through with you today. 2 monks are walking down the road. They arrive at a muddy stream crossing, and a well-dressed woman declares without introduction, "Don't just stand there, someone carry me across this mess." Without pause, the older monk lifts her across. She says nothing, not even thank you. The 2 monks walk all day. The whole time, the younger monk stews in his mind. How could he pick her up? We're not supposed to touch women or even talk to them. And she was so rude. Someone should say something to her. She didn't deserve our help. Finally, arriving at the inn for dinner, he can't hold himself back. "What were you thinking?" he asks his friend. "She was nasty and you broke out the rules, and she didn't even say thank you." The older monk smiles gently and replies, "Wow, I put that woman down hours ago, but you've been carrying her all this time." So, thinking about what that story tells us, what is our lesson we are to learn through that parable, is sometimes the anger and resentment that we carry adds to our own pain or frustration. It's almost like a second tier of suffering, right? We might have had a traumatic experience, and then these other feelings that we add to that traumatic experience make that traumatic experience even worse. So, forgiveness doesn't mean that we condone behavior either from ourselves or others. It just means that we're not going to hold on to that misbehavior as a guide in our lives. So, I'm going to talk you through a mindful experience today with a focus on this notion of forgiveness. So, bringing your attention to the physical sensation of breathing, noting whatever is grabbing your attention right now, whatever you're feeling right now, and without judgment, bring your attention back to the rise and fall of your breathing. You may feel your chest expanding, or you may feel your belly expanding, or perhaps both. So just think about something physical that relates to your breath and give yourself a moment. And now picture yourself, or rather, picture something that comes to your mind that you judge yourself for. Maybe you feel regret, maybe you feel irritation, perhaps you feel some sadness. Notice how it feels even bringing it to mind. Then focus on these three phrases, not forcing anything, but setting an intention for yourself. I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing pain and suffering to myself and others. Bring your attention back again to these three phrases. I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing pain and suffering to myself and others. This type of practice, mindfulness practice, can be very painful. And if it does at any time become too painful, don't judge yourself for that. Just come back to the breath and leave the phrases behind, because they will be there for you for some time in the future if you want to practice this again. Our minds naturally hold on to instances where we feel mistreated by others, just as that monk did in our parable. There may be experiences that were entirely wrong or traumatic, or that concretely require our attention or action. At the same time, we can practice avoiding that second level, that second tier of pain. Here's another set of phrases that might help you with this. I forgive you for making mistakes. I forgive you for not understanding. I forgive you for causing pain and suffering to me and to others. And again, if this feels too frustrating or too painful, then just come back to your breath. Or perhaps you'll focus on just some compassion for yourself. Perhaps you'll focus on your beautiful heart as it beats and as it takes in lots of love from around you. And as we've said, practices of this kind can be quite challenging. So on our final breaths in this particular portion of our mindfulness experience today, on each in-breath, noticing and accepting wherever you feel right now. On each out-breath, as you would for a close friend, offering yourself relief or freedom or strength, or whatever comes first to your mind. And it's important to realize or to note that forgiveness doesn't mean being passive or not taking action. It doesn't mean standing down when we need to protect ourselves or someone else from harm. Do what needs to be done. That might mean taking a pause, settling the mind, thinking about your breath, and trying to see things as clearly as possible before taking skillful action. Continue practicing forgiveness over and over again, letting go of whatever holds you back. The beautiful thing about forgiveness is that it creates more room in your heart for other things, for joy, for laughter, for curiosity. These are the gifts you give yourself. This is a journey of compassion for yourself and for others, for those around you. And as we finish our mindfulness experience for the day, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Mark Twain. So breathing in and out, thinking about this. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. Have a beautiful day today and tomorrow.